One of the most effective ways of campaigning for marketing is content creation or reimagining content, as it were, to drive business plans. So here we are with Mr. Xavier Prabhu, CEO at PR Hub, to talk about content recreation or content creation and how using different strategies through blogging, social media, and other things will drive the business values. So, sir, our question is, what is content creation? Let's start from the basics. And what advantage does it have over traditional means of creation of content?
Thanks, Simon, for the introduction. I think a lot of people, when it comes to content marketing, primarily think about and limit themselves to creation of original content, which A is expensive because you got to find an author or an expert in a particular area who can then create it for you, or you have to have internal resources with the necessary expertise to create that kind of content. And increasingly what we are figuring out is that truly good content writers or experts, subject matter experts who can create such original content are expensive, and my gut feel is they're going to get more expensive. Does it mean that it is the end of the road for, let's say small and medium businesses or others who have limitations in terms of investing into original content creation? The answer, fortunately, surprisingly, is no. There is a huge area outside of original content creation called content curation or content repurposing, which I personally believe is something that is both under-focused, under-invested in, and I think estimated as well by even marketeers. For example, I was speaking at an event, I think 2 years back in Bangalore, where I think some of the best IT minds were sitting in the room, and I did speak about content curation as being under-focused. And I know that one of the marketers actually said, why not original content? Why? As if like content, curated content or repurposed content is inferior to original content. I'm not saying that original content is not that important. Original content is definitely the ideal thing to do, because content, when it is original, fresh, relevant, has more value. But having said that, you can have a mixed strategy where there is some pieces of original content mixed up with curated content or repurposed content. Now, the second thing is, I'm actually trying to say something else, and you don't listen to me carefully, you will think it's contradictory, is that just because I say content curation or content repurposing, it doesn't mean non-original content. So let me make that very clear, because a lot of people then think copy pasting on Google search to be content curation or content repurposing. I am not here encouraging it for all the lazy bums out there. I'm sorry for using that word, but I wanted to make that clear, is that content curation also needs effort and some bit of thinking. So what it essentially means is that you look at, let's say, 5 or 10 pieces of content, and in a particular theme or a flow or whatever, and then you link it all up, add your thoughts or perspectives on top of it. Let me repeat this word, right, or line. You have to add your thoughts and perspectives on top of it, and then you actually link it all up, and what comes out of that is a curated content or repurposed content or whatever that you can call it. So there is an inspiration, I want to call that, there's a content or 5 pieces of content that has inspired you, which you then link it to the theme that you've really come up with, and then you add your original perspective or thoughts on that. It's a little bit like remixing of songs, but actually it's a little more than remixing of songs. I'm just using that as an analogy for people to understand, but that doesn't mean that it's like remixing the old and golden songs, which has become a fad these days, of course. So content curation and repurposing is something that I think all of us can invest in, and it doesn't take that much resources as original content, but does allow a company to keep its content marketing campaign or focus or element alive in the overall marketing strategy. And particularly for small and medium businesses or those with budgetary constraints, it may actually be very relevant to embrace it as a go-to strategy first, and then probably graduate to original content over the medium and the long run.
Okay, so you used the word strategy over here, which I think is lacking in most of the entrepreneurs nowadays. So let's break it down. There will be two things over here. One thing is many entrepreneurs, they start using content marketing under the impression that they will write a few blogs, and then they look at the ROI and they say that content marketing doesn't work. So I'm guessing what they're lacking over here is asking the right questions when they're creating the content. So let's take that content marketing strategy as a thing and break it down. As what are the questions that these people should be asking themselves when they're creating this content or repurposing it?
Yeah, Simon, actually the answer is actually very broad and applies to even original content as well. Actually applies to anything as well. But I think for the purpose of clarity, let's just go through this. And it's an important question because, like Simon rightly said, I think there is no magical box, which you rub and then some genie comes out and then fulfills all your wishes. Fortunately or unfortunately, that's not true. Otherwise, all the women in the world would have gotten their diamonds and chocolates. They unfortunately don't have it, except a few. Jokes apart, fundamentally for content, if you don't know who your audience is, I think the first thing is you need to know who your audience is. No, first let's define your audience. Then you got to understand what is that audience asking, seeking, or as a gap or a pain point or whatever that is, right? That's the second thing. Third is then you ask yourself, what is it that I have inside as a brand that sings or resonates with this audience or its pain points or whatever, and then you go and look in the larger web for sources of content which then aligns to all of this that you have figured out, you have researched. Then you figure out these pieces of content and then you put them together as per the theme that you have arrived at, which anyway has to be synced with what you have understood of the target audience. Then whatever you come out with then starts resonating with them because it originated from what they wanted or what they sought or had as a pain point. So it's much easier. Let's understand today, in today's attention-starved social digital generation, you cannot do anything that is not relevant to them. They're just going to ignore you and walk out. And I think that's going to happen in seconds. Previously it happened in years, probably it will happen in seconds now. So I really think we need to understand the audience, the kind of needs they have, and then have a theme or a strategy that, like Simon pointed out, which then aligns to this, and then you go and create, curate or repurpose your content, which then fits into this purpose or theme or whatever one may want to call it.
I think you're right in saying that there is a certain perspective that you should be looking at, because content marketing has become a niche segment where brand perception is something that is dealt with more importantly, creating thought leaders. So if you can help us break it down for people who need content marketing, in clear terms, they are not going to get short-term results, but in the long run, what exactly are the achievable results that they're looking at going with the brand perception?
Sure. So, let's just keep this focused, but I would say largely content marketing is a very strong thought leadership tool. So it does generate thought leadership, and in the medium to long run, it is also a lead generation tool. And I can take a simple example. Let's say we take big data or IoT. You can take any of these buzzwords that's being thrown around now loosely and widely. And actually, I want to confess that I know anything about big data or IoT, except that I know IoT is IoT. But having said that, and actually I know a little bit more, but I'm just joking. And Simon, you can't laugh too much for such things. Yeah, you're just asking me questions. Okay, so let's say you take big data. Let's say you start putting out original, curated and repurposed content over a long period of time on big data. Let's understand how this world works. Let's someone who goes to Google and says, big data firms in India. What happens is Google's algorithm automatically recognizes you based on the amount of original content that you have there and the number of sources that have those or reference those or connect to those. If you've done this well, you're going to come in on top of it. Just look at it. What is it? It is actually a relevant potential customer finding you without you looking for him. Okay, that's exactly what marketing is about, what inbound marketing is all about. So let me go back and answer it again. I said the first purpose that's achieved is thought leadership. That's an immediate return that you can see on content investments. The medium to long term is actually lead generation. At the same time, let me warn you that you can't go and say I've created 20 pieces of content. In 6 months down the line, am I getting 100 leads? I don't want to simplify it and make it like the panacea for all the sales problems that you have in the world. But I believe that if you do this over a period of time, it works for you. Let me take a little more easier lifestyle example. Restaurants, right? Let me say I'm a Mexican restaurant in Noida. How do I get my word out? I get, let's say, content out there about Mexican food, Mexican recipes. Probably I have a Mexican chef come down and I have a festival with him, which I talk about it across and get some original content out on my social digital channels and all of that. What happens over a period of time? Let's say someone wants to try out a new cuisine for the weekend. A bunch of boys and girls want to have a good time. They go online and then they say, hey, you know what? I want to have a different kind of food this weekend. Can you give me some suggestions? And then some wisecrack in the whole gang will say, Mexican, right? And the automatic thing that they will all do is Google. Hey presto, your restaurant comes on top because you're probably the only Mexican content generator in that area. So Google will obviously, put you on top, so you're there. Now look at it, you got the bunch of entire group come to your restaurant for the Mexican meal out of nowhere. That's marketing for you as well. So what I'm saying is it works, but it doesn't work like a genie like I pointed out earlier. But I think if you're at it, you do it well, and I think you keep it relevant and contextual and all the time, I think you would have customers coming into you and at least seeking you out as a thought leader and at least asking for your services or solutions.
Okay, coming back to content recreation or repurposing, there is a definite factor here which comes into play when it comes to the content marketers themselves. What kind of attitude, what are the, if you have to break down a strategy, for example, what is this kind of strategy they should be taking in to get right results? What are the kinds of strategies out there relevant to different industries, for example?
So let me also demystify this content curation or content purposing, right? I'll try and make it like a step-by-step kind of a thing for all of you. Is that first, you can just use our great, famous, inexpensive Google Alerts to start with. What does Google Alert do? You set up keywords, Google then starts pushing content into your box. You can categorize it, neatly put it into folders in yours. Later relook at all the, let's say you put category 1 as big data, and then just keep pumping in whatever Google pushes you into big data into that folder, or Hadoop, or IoT, or whatever, right? Then what happens over a period of time, you have enough content links or sources. Then what you do is you pick up based on what you felt your audience is interested in or feels is relevant. Then you pick up the 4 or 5 pieces of links or content that's relevant from there. You can also do one more thing. There are actually blog aggregation tools. You can even use them. Right? I said Google Alerts at the basic level. There is, I think, Feedly and many others that you can use. They will give you relevant blogs in a topic that you are looking for. Right? In this case, let's say IoT. Right? There are 10 blogs that have been written in the last 20 days across the world. It comes into your box. What you do is then you look at all those blogs and say, hey, you know what? For my theme or my company's focus, these 3 seem to be very relevant. So pull out those 3 blogs. Like I rightly said, it's not just about pulling those 3 things. Now you need to figure out what is your thoughts and perspectives on it. So you have 3 pieces of content. Put up your thoughts and perspectives on top of it, mix and match it, and then probably what comes out is a curated content on IoT. Now you are ready to share with the world. Now there is one more thing that you can do in this process, is that you can also use a lot of social tools are today available which allow you to populate your social assets, analyze what is happening with it as well. So you can use the blog aggregator tools, or you can use Google Alerts, and then you can use these tools as well. Then what happens is the entire process gets much more effective. So once you generate this curated content, you have the tool which pushes it for you and also tells you who's liking it, who's sharing it and all of that. So you can also get feedback on what is the audience liking it. So let me just make it very clear. The audience liking it, resonating with it, engaging with it, sharing with it is the real measure that we need to focus on. So this gives you the data, then you go back to work and then start refiguring this all over again. And this makes the process A, efficient, B, cost effective, and 3, much more manageable. And then on top of it, of course, you can have actually a content calendar plan for the entire year, use tools like this, then you are running on the go all the time.
There is like, other than the audience who get to read the content, there is another aspect of it, creating a proper community, right? With whom you can connect over interesting creative content from all over the world and talk on it or discuss on it. We have LinkedIn and we have Facebook communities for that. So in the world of social media, how far along do you think we have come, and how we can leverage it for the best content marketing tool?
So see, community is actually like the holy grail for everything that you do in social today. Let's be honest about it. And I think it's going to get more and more difficult to create communities because the options are too many today. So if you just go to LinkedIn and you say probably anything, let's say even let's say Asian underground music, I'm sure you're going to find a group for even this specific or a niche or a obscure topic. So the world has become there. So obviously you've got to have a lot of competition for the communities that you're trying to create. So one of the ways that you can make your community at least stand out in this cluttered world is probably curated content or original content or repurposed content. So obviously it's all highly correlated, and I believe that today people are not going to stay even on your page or community if you're not going to do this on a regular basis and keep engaging them on a regular basis. So let's not think that there's this one piece of great content that I did last week, everyone loved it, now I'll go back to sleep. You'll be kicked. I think this is a periscope on the butt or wherever else very soon, because audiences are going to come and say, yeah, that was great, but I moved on. What is the great thing that you're doing this week? So what I'm saying is you've got to be at it on a sustained basis and also set the expectations clearly. If you can get out a great content, curated, purposed or original every 2 weeks, set an expectation that every 2 weeks I will have a fresh content out for you. And of course there are other tools which are there today which will have them get relevant newsfeed also into your channel. So you can do a mix of all of that so that you can engage your users in your community, and the community is vibrant, engaged and all of that. And of course, as it happens more and more often, you will find that some users then start becoming loyal to the community, sticky, and they become the core of your community. And I think that's a very, very good sign that your content marketing efforts or your community building efforts is actually heading in the right direction.
So you're right, when we actually finally arrive at this point, I think we can safely say that repackaging content refines it for specific audiences with highly specific needs. So now repurposing not only extends the life of the content, but it also refines it for audiences whom you can interact with in different ways. When we reach that point, there is another thing of to keep it going, and content writers might lose their life over it. So maybe content economy is something that might come into play. What do you think?
We are already in content economy. Let's not make any difference about it. We've not said it. And look at what is content economy. Content economy is basically information economy, and we've already reached information economy. Content is just the next level of information, because what is content? You've taken a certain bit of information and then you're polishing it, packaging it, and putting it in a particular format out. Let's say it's a video or a blog or whatever else, it's an infographic or whatever it is, right? So we've already come to the content economy. And I think the more urban you are, the more connected you are, the more social and digital you are, you're already living in it. And I think let's not make any mistakes about it. Today, most of our decisions are made in the content economy. So I think it's not as if like it's a nice point we're going to, we're already there. It's a point we've crossed. So what do we do about this? I think there are a lot of opportunities and there are a lot of challenges. So I just picked up a very small area within this, which is content curation and repurposing. Of course, we can go into the larger part of it, but for this, I think I want to say that we are here. Let's not make any doubts about it. And content repurposing and curation may be one of the ways that he said it a little more dramatically, of course, but content writers may lose their lives over it. And there's no guillotine now for content writers. But yeah, if there was an imaginary one, I think one of the ways they can escape the guillotine is to go the repurposing and the curated way.
Agreed. So we are constantly learning, and we'll keep on learning on this topic because this is never ending, and there is so much to explore in this. But thank you so much, sir, for being with us today and sharing your insights, and we'll reconnect again.
Yes, Simon, thank you so much for all those nice and intelligent questions, and those threats to the content writers as well.
Just clarifying notes.
I hope they die very soon and to live again.